Welcome to the Valley Community Library Online. We are proud to be a PA Forward Gold Star Library. And today's program is going to promote health literacy as we are doing teen tracks. We're joined with Sarah Corcoran from the Sierra Club, and today we are going to hike around Dunmore Reservoir. We might spot some plants along the way, hopefully some animals, and Sarah will be talking about what the reservoir does and why it's important. All right, before we get into our hike, we do have our usual gear. We have our first aid kit that the Sierra Club provided. We have our water. And today we have sturdy shoes. Sarah is wearing waterproof boots because this trail is known to get a bit muddy. Anything else you want to add, Sarah?
Well, yes, it's definitely a little bit muddy on the trail. There's a couple of stream crossings, and where there's mud and water, there's typically going to be more bugs. So make sure that you put on some bug spray or bring some along with you before you go on the hike. And you definitely want to have good shoes for this one. It's not that difficult of a hike, but it definitely does have some mud. And if you'll notice, the trail's a little bit louder than the last one that we took. As Fawn said, this is the Dunmore Reservoir. It's right off of Route 80, so you've got a bit of that truck traffic happening. Warhorse is right up the street, so there might be some ATV sounds later on the trail, and there's a lot of construction traffic and trucks that move by. But it is a very easy to get to pocket of green space right here in Dunmore that folks might not know exists. So there's some toss-ups, but it's definitely worth going and exploring.
Yes. All right, are you ready? Let's go hike. All right, so right past the gate, there are a couple options on ways that you could go. So you can either go down or you can go up this hill, which is the way that we're gonna go. Ready?
We are gonna go up. Listen to the cicadas. I love it. Alright, so here you could go down to the right if you wanted to, but that's not where the trail goes. That just goes down to the reservoir itself if you wanted to go and look at the water. But we'll have plenty of opportunities to do that along the trail as well. So keep going off to the left at this point. Oh, cool. Indian pipes. Check it out. Indian pipe mushrooms. Aren't they neat? They're actually a non-photosynthetic plant. So they're not like a pure mushroom. I just think they're so neat. They've got the cool curve to them. There's a lot of blueberries around here too, but I don't see. Remember what we said in the last video, unless you're 125,000% sure what it is, don't eat it. But these are blueberries. You can definitely eat these.
What is that?
Oh cool, a little fairy house.
All right, so my kids love hiking this trail because there are several little fairy houses and gnome gardens along the way that are a lot of fun to spot and use your imagination about what type of fairies might live there and what their job is in the forest.
I see some wintergreen down here too.
Wintergreen?
Yeah. See the little shiny leaves? These guys?
Yeah.
So like wintergreen gum or anything like that, it's flavored from that.
Neat. And those form berries, don't they?
Yes, little red berries. If you've ever heard of tea berry,
Yes.
tea berry is made from wintergreen berries.
Okay.
That Pepto-Bismol type flavor.
Alright, so we have another intersection here.
It does say trail that way.
There's another fairy garden.
A winter scene.
Yeah. There's a ton of different types of mushrooms.
Yeah, there's some red ones right up there.
If you are a fungi expert, you can comment and let us know if you know the names of these.
We have some cool orange ones just a little ways back. Maybe we'll see some more.
My rule with mushrooms is I don't know what that is. We're not touching it.
I agree. It's a good rule.
Those mushrooms. I like the tops. They're like reversed mushrooms almost. They make me think of candles that have been
Little
burnt.
bowls.
I could see a fairy using that as a dish.
Oh, if it's a fairy, it might be a bathtub. There he is. The little bluegill. See him?
See if I can see him on the screen here. I see dragonflies flying past.
Yeah, lots of dragonflies. And actually, if you ever look at a dragonfly when it's at rest, dragonflies are the ones that have their wings out flat, and damselflies have their wings folded back, like a little lady. So dragonflies are the ones that are out straight. They're related, but they're not exactly the same thing.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, let's continue on our hike. And we're going to go back up the trail, but we're going to the right. So we're continuing on the right, the whole loop around the lake. We are. All right, Sarah. That I would think is litter. Is there any purpose that this is here?
It's definitely litter. Somebody probably dumped it on the trail, and it took a little bit of work for them to get this down here. But since it's too big for us to carry, we'll unfortunately have to leave it this time. If you notice, as we're walking, Fawn and I both have trash bags with us. I'm taking care of recycling in my bag, and Fawn's got trash in hers. So as we go along today, We'll pick up what we can bring with us. But some of it's going to have to stay, unfortunately.
All right, so we have our trash bags tied to our hiking packs, as you'll notice. It's something that we saw someone else do on a hike that we did together, and it frees up our hands so we don't have to carry everything, lugging it around using our arm muscles.
The only thing with this way of carrying a trash bag, you want to make sure you don't pick up anything that's sharp or jagged, because it's going to hit against your leg every once in a while, and we definitely don't want anyone getting hurt while they're trying to do the right thing.
Yep. And it does make a lot of noise.
Yes.
So if you're trying to be quiet to see animals, it's not that convenient for it. All right. But we're doing good. We're cleaning up because we want to leave
the trail nicer than we found it.
All right. Hello, puppy. Dogs are allowed on this trail.
So in areas that a lot of trees are down in, if you look over there too, you can see it all. There's an invasive plant that has been taking over. It's called Japanese Stiltcrafts. You can see it right here if you want to see it close up. I know in our last video we were speaking a little bit about invasives. It crops up everywhere. And it's pretty easy to pull it out, but it's pretty nasty. It crowds out everything else, so nothing else can grow here.
So nothing can grow and nothing eats it.
Right. There's some others. Actually, it looks like there's a couple of other plants in here, but they're getting crowded out. Like you can see some of the cattails and some of the grasses. Some thistle that grew up higher than the rest of it so it can still get sunshine. But yeah, it's a lot of siltgrass. In our last video we were talking about jewelweed at one point, the plants with the little orange flowers, and how they have seed pods that if you touch them they explode. So it's also called touch me not. Well, here's one of those seed pods, and if you look you can be like, pop. And that disperses the seeds all over so that way they can grow more. And if you look right there, you'll see a cool little critter. Hello, little snail. Just relaxing. Enjoying a snail day.
All right, and we are about to go through the muddiest section of the trail. This area is almost always muddy. What's the best way for us to cross mud and wet areas?
Well, you want to try to stay to the outskirts as much as you can. Usually it's muddiest towards the middle section of whatever area is wet. So if you hug the edges of the trail, or if you can find an area that is slightly off trail but isn't like filled with leaves or grasses or anything like that, you can go a little off trail at that point to go around the mud. It might be really fun sounding to walk right through the middle of it, because it's squelchy and your shoes get all muddy, and it makes it feel like you're actually getting out into the wild, you know, coming back with your shoes being all muddy. But if your socks get wet, it's not a lot of fun. And then if your shoes are muddy, it's going to be harder to clean afterwards. And it's also, you know, just, it's not as
Parents
cool as
probably don't want you to get muddy.
Yeah. So we're going to go around the outskirts. We're going to try to stay away from the mud as much as we can.
Okay. One thing about mud is we might be able to spot some animal prints Earlier we saw a dog, and I'm pretty sure there's dog prints there.
Yes.
Let's see if we find any other ones. Ooh, super wet and muddy. What way are we going?
I'm gonna go this way. Take your time, watch your steps. Squelch. Go for it. Squelch. Oh, beaver tree.
That's not a fresh beaver tree, though.
No, it's not. It's been down for a while. You can see a little bit of gnawing on that tree there, too.
Cool.
He was active when he was here.
But he's not here anymore.
I mean, he might have gone over to the other side of the lake. But yeah, that's a pretty old chew. So we didn't see a beaver, but we saw signs of one.
All right. We're staying to the right the entire trail.
Look at that little mushroom. That's a cool one.
And there is a trail sign that tells you which way to go.
Trail.
Look at the bird. Don't know if you can see it against the sun. Right up in that first thin tree.
Oh, there he goes. Or she.
There's the lake. Well, it's not a lake though, is it?
Well, it's technically a lake. Reservoirs are typically lakes. Fun fact, the way that they designate what's a lake and what's a pond is whether or not you can see the bottom.
Huh.
Yeah. But I mean, most ponds you can't really see the bottom, but if it's shallow enough that plants can grow in the very middle of the pond, it's usually shallow enough to be a pond, and if not, then it's a lake.
Okay.
So this one is a lake, although I'm not in the middle of it looking down. I can tell it's steep enough. It has to be because it is Dunmore's drinking source. So this is a reservoir. Reservoir is a fancy word that means it's a water storage facility, usually for drinking, sometimes for electricity. If it's for hydroelectric power, there's some reservoirs for that. So this is a drinking water source for Dunmore, and that's part of the reason why finding this trash is kind of a big deal.
Really disturbing.
Yeah, because it's very easy for that to get washed right into the water that that we use. So, and then so this reservoir is maintained by the Water Authority. So is Lake Scranton, which has a nice walking trail on it. If you are looking for something that's a little less roots and rocks and branches
And mud.
they have a 4-mile paved walking trail around the lake. Dogs are not allowed on that one. It's a very nice trail for if you want to just get out and get a little bit of exercise without having it be in the woods, and it's more accessible as well. So if you have folks that have mobility issues in your life that you want to take out in nature, it's a good spot.
Yep. And we neglected to mention this at the beginning of this hike, but the hike around Dunmore Reservoir is about an hour with my family, my 2 kids, stopping for a snack break, drinks, and photos along the way. It takes us about usually an hour to walk it. So
yeah, the last time I hiked this trail, it took me about an hour as well.
Okay. So let's keep going and see if we can spot some birds because they're active. I see something on that tree. I saw something.
I'm not ready for some of these.
There he goes. Oh. Little chipmunk. I don't know if you can make him out in the video. I knew I saw something.
I'm not ready for some of these leaves to be falling off the trees already.
Oh. No, fall is not coming.
Well, it has to come eventually.
Eventually. But we still have a month of summer left. Love seeing the birds flit through these trees. Here he goes.
Flit, flit. That's a fun one. Alright, so this is going to be our first water crossing. There are some boards that have been laid down for our use. So try to use those as best you can to get over the wet spots. I would suggest only one person on the boards at a time because otherwise it might bow down a little too much in the middle and you'll end up getting wet anyway. There's also going to be some more mud coming up, so watch your footing and like I said in the last little muddy spat, try to stay off to the side as much as you can. All right, here we go.
My family and I have hiked through here where everything's been like water level. So today is actually a really dry day for this. All right, Sarah. So this trail has mud. It's slippery. There's a lot of roots and rocks, which is why we are often looking down at where our footing is. But what would we do if, say, I slipped really bad and I hurt my ankle while we're out here? We're on the other side of the lake now. It's a hike back to the car.
Well, it depends on how bad you hurt your ankle. If you think it's just like maybe a light sprain, or if you twisted it and you can get out with some help, because you should never be hiking on your own if you can prevent it. Some brambles got me. So if you're hiking with a friend or family member and they can help you get out, that's going to be your best bet, and then you can go get it checked out if you think it's something that is going to end up hurting later on. And definitely you don't want to take care of it. You don't want it to get worse. But if it's something serious and you can't move or it really hurts, you want to make sure that somebody calls for help. So use that cell phone that we made sure to talk about in the 101 video. So you want to have a way that you can call for help if something were to happen. So you want to call for help and wait where you are. Try to give the best directions possible to where you are on the trail. Say, estimate we've been hiking for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. We went this direction on the trail. Any sort of things you can remember about where you are, if you have any landmarks or anything that the rescuers can identify where you are, that's good to know as well. This trail is typically wide enough that like an ATV can get back in here, so they wouldn't have to bring a stretcher and get you out that way, so it'll be a little bit easier. If you get hurt on a much rockier trail or a smaller trail like the one we did last month, it would be a little bit longer, a little bit more difficult to have someone come out and rescue you. But you don't want to move if it's really, really badly injured, or especially if you hit your head, you don't want to move around if that happens.
Good to know. Thanks for sharing that. All right, and as we were talking, we've come up to another intersection, so let's show you that.
All right, so we're at another intersection. We're going to go off this way to the right. As Fawn said earlier, always go to the right on this trail. If you go off to the left here, you'll end up with the Lost Trails, which is maintained by Warhorse. It's privately owned ATV trails. So we don't want to go that way. We're going to go this way.
This area is really dry today, but usually it is muddy. This is my kid's favorite area to cross because it's a water crossing with these giant stepping stones to lead up the way. And then you can stand here and do yoga poses, which my kids love to do. So, or the spot rock. And that's if you've been practicing it and you know that your balance is good, because you don't want to fall and hit your head or anything. But and stretch and listen to the water. It's a beautiful place. You can hear the cars going, but it's still peaceful listening to the water run.
Shall we go down to the water's edge?
Yep. Now we'll come back out and go down the trail. But let's go down and look at the water.
We found a backpack, and it looks like it's actually in pretty good shape. So we're not going to throw that away. I'll put that in my bag and we'll donate it to somebody who might want to use it. Now it's very important when you go to pick up litter that you might find on the trail that you don't pick up broken glass, okay? As much as it is not good to leave it behind, you don't want to accidentally cut yourself, or if you're having it, the bags that you're having to carry out, it could lean up against you and cut you in other locations as well. So if you see broken glass, leave it alone. So while the rest of the reservoir might look really pretty, we're looking here where the water comes in from the stream, and it looks really brown and kind of muddy and gross, and there's this shine on the water. Now, that could be naturally occurring, but it could also be oil from the ATVs and the trucks that are right upstream. So we definitely want to keep that in mind, that this is a drinking source, and it's got this gross scum on the top of it. The brown that we see, that is actually naturally occurring. That's okay. That's from something called tannins. It's from the leaves and like pine needles and hemlock needles breaking down in the water and actually tanning or the water. It kind of makes it look like a tea. It probably you don't want to drink it right now. but it's not bad that it's brown.
But the oil is.
But the oil is bad. Yes. Definitely don't want to drink that.
And you can see the discoloration. Especially over here, there's bubbles. So all those little blotches is like if you take oil and vinegar or oil and a water bottle and shake it up, it separates. So that's what we see.
I don't know if you can see the rainbow effect on this patch over here. Very shiny.
Okay, let's get back to our trail.
Definitely want to watch where you're going. We just passed. Look at this. I would not want to walk into those thorns. Those are massive thorns.
There's more up here. So be careful of thorns and what's hitting your legs. I know my garbage bag has been grabbed a couple times walking already. Sarah, you were talking about the leaves changing colors and falling.
Yep. Now, leaves sometimes change colors early because of some sort of trauma. So it's not always like in fall that leaves fall. If it's been a particularly dry year, or if it's been a really, really wet one, if the temperature has fluctuated a lot, the trees get confused.
Like this year?
Yeah.
This year our weather's been all over the place. And then we've also had such hazy days.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason behind all of the haze is the wildfires out west. So the wildfire seasons have been getting worse and worse every year, and we've been seeing the effects.
Yeah, it's not fun not being able to see a nice blue sky on a sunny day.
But at least we can see the sky.
This is true.
So if you look at this sign here, that tells us that the stream we just crossed is called Little Roaring Brook. Thank you, trail sign.
I like that they have a picture for it. That's not usually how trail markers or trail signs work.
Brought to you by Pennsylvania American Water and the Dunmore Historical Society.
Okay.
Looks like we've got another wet spot up ahead. Just go off to the right.
Something's bubbling over there.
Could be from water, from like, if you push down, it displaces it. So you can see.
Ah, so there were just some dogs playing in here. That could be it.
Yeah.
Not like swamp creatures or...
Well, it would be fun to imagine swamp creatures living in such a tiny little pool. It'd be like tiny little swamp creatures.
Mm-hmm. I was smart today and wore my sunglasses, as I just had a whole bunch of gnats flying around my head. I'm very happy to have them on, because the last hike, while I had sunglasses with me, I didn't wear them because it was shady. But I had at least 2 flies, or bugs, gnats, fly in my eye, and that's not fun. So I like to wear sunglasses now all the time, whether it's sunny or shady, to keep bugs out of my eyes.
I prefer not to, although I normally wear glasses, so that kind of acts like sunglasses as well. Look, that one has an RV.
Oh.
Taking a little ferry vacation. If you were to go on a vacation, where would you go?
I'd like to go somewhere tropical or to a dude ranch.
Well, those are two totally different things.
I love horses.
Have you ever ridden them in the water before?
Yes, I've gone swimming with horses and it is a ton of fun. Speaking about swimming, let's see what we have down here. I really like this trail that it has a ton of water access points to go down and enjoy the water's edge.
Look at those geese.
See if I can zoom in for you. There you go. And they're Canadian geese, right?
Yes, and Canadian geese actually mate for life. So they find their significant other and they stick with them forever.
Oh.
It's kind of sweet until you notice all of the goose poop that's left everywhere.
So is it a sign of a healthy lake if there's geese, or does the goose poop?
It's it doesn't matter. Geese will just be anywhere that there's water. If it's a healthy lake, a not so healthy lake, you'll usually find geese.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of trails. There's a lot of people that like to come here and fish. There is so much trash here, and we've already picked up quite a bit along our walk around the lake. Why do you think people litter? Is it malicious intent, or?
I sometimes think it's because people just don't know better. They think that someone's going to come along like we did and clean it up. So, I mean, in a way, we're proving them right today, but that's not always the case. So, you always want to make sure to bring whatever you have with you out in the woods back with you again. You don't want to be a litter bug. With how close it is to this water, it's just one storm away or one big gust of wind away from ending up into the water. And we don't want that. So you always want to make sure to pick up whatever you see. Sometimes it is malicious though. Sometimes it's people that just don't want to carry it with them, and they know that it's going to be left behind, and they'll still throw it away.
Like when people drive down the road and just toss something out their window?
Yeah, they don't care. It's out of sight, out of mind. They think it'll become somebody else's problem, and they just don't care. So there are not so nice people out there. Just have to counteract the not so nice with the nice deeds.
Okay, well, let's do our part and pick up some of this garbage around here. If you are hiking with a dog, make sure to carry doggy bags and take them with you. Alright, so there are a bunch of cigarette butts around that we've picked up as we've been walking. Not only is smoking bad for your health, but it's really bad for the environment. These cigarette butts contain plastic that don't break down. Animals eat them and can choke on them and die. I grew up with horses, and that was the biggest thing. Even though a lot of people in my family smoked, they always picked up their cigarette butts to throw away in the garbage because they knew how bad the cigarette butts are for the horses and cows. And it goes for all animals
All right, so that's a lot of cigarette butts. And with how dry it's been, and when we were talking earlier about all of the wildfires happening out west, all it takes is one cigarette butt not to be put out completely, and you could start a wildfire. So not only is it litter, it can be pretty dangerous as well. Fishing is permitted. It doesn't say anything about catch and release only, so as long as it's within legal limits, you can fish here. There are a bunch of regulations for what can and can't be done. Compliments of the Fish and Boat Commission.
I really like this sign over here. Snakes of Pennsylvania and Turtles of Pennsylvania, because you might be able to spot some of these along the way.
We have quite a few reptiles in our area.
How many of them are poisonous?
Not too many. We do have rattlesnakes in Pennsylvania. We have the timber rattlesnake. And we do get copperheads as well. Copperheads are more likely here. Copperhead with that little hourglass on it, and there's the rattlesnake with that telltale rattle on the end there. Copperheads are more likely to be closer to water. They do like water, but you don't normally see rattlesnakes too close. They like to be on big open rocks, and you find them on mountains more often. But those are our venomous snakes in the area. This shows light phase and dark phase for rattlesnakes, because sometimes they're this nice bright color, other times they're darker, almost black, and it's hard to tell the patterning on them. And you can also tell by, I don't know if you can see it really on this poster, but by the shape of their eyes. So the eyes are like that versus the rounded ones. So they have round pupils for non-venomous snakes and slitted pupils for venomous snakes.
Yep. And it's a good rule to be hands off.
Yes.
Like we talked about in Hiking 101.
All right, so we've made it all the way around the lake. We only have a little bit left to go to finish up our hike. But here you'll notice there's the spillway over the edge of the reservoir. If you want to come get closer, Fawn, you can check it out. So this keeps the reservoir at a set level. Whenever there's too much water, more water comes off and into the stream that, was it a roaring brook or that we passed earlier? So there's the inflow at the other end. It comes and it hangs out in this reservoir, which is dammed up, and then the water continues on its way into the stream once again. So there's a set level for this reservoir, and then it goes over the dam, over the spillway, and continues on its way downstream.
Cool. And we'll get a nice view of the spillway from further on down the trail. So if you parked as soon as you arrive off the exit, this is where you would enter. But we parked at the parking lot number 1, so we're going to continue on down, like we said, to the right to make a circle. Right turns all over the place.
Go back into the woods. Goldenrod. Nice.
What do you see back there?
Look how orange the water is back here, Fawn.
Is that the...
That's not tannins, no. That almost looks like acid mine drainage, or like water with a really high iron content.
Ah.
Water should not be that color. So we walked a little off trail to check out this orange water a little bit more. And that is not a natural color. That is definitely a sign of pollution somewhere upstream. There's not going to be any insects or fish or anything living in this water. I'm wondering what caused it. Iron can turn water this color. Acid mine drainage, which we do have some of in this area. If you think about like the old Forge borehole, that's acid mine drainage. But this is not something you want to see.
So it's concerning.
That is a little concerning, yeah.
All right, so we have some more mud that we're going to go through, and then we have a nice hill to climb. It is steep, and you're going to feel your calves burning. Not only is it a steep hill, but the rocks are loose. I feel the burn. We're halfway there, though.
You can get it. Good job. Nice jump. If you can limbo under, you can go that way. We're gonna go around. Squelch. Let's get one last patch of trash.
Yep, so we're going to go a little bit diverted from going to the right. Pick up the garbage in this swampy area.
Ew.
It's all over. All right, thanks for hiking with us today. Sarah, I noticed that we didn't see as many critters. We saw no snakes. We saw one chipmunk. Why do you think that we didn't see that many animals today?
Well, just like when you're hiking and if you're really loud, the animals get scared away. If you notice all this noise around us, chances are there's not going to be as many animals hanging around when there's this much noise pollution. They're probably still out there, just not as many here where there's so much buildup and construction and cars and noise. It's not as much of a safe place for the animals as the last place that we hiked.
Okay, very good. We were able to pick up 3 full garbage bags of litter. 2 bags are of recycling alone. So,
and you want to make sure if you are separating out trash and recycling that you only recycle clean or mostly clean materials, because if you're if the bottles and cans and stuff are really gross or have stuff inside them, your local recycling center might not take them and they might get thrown into the trash anyway.
yeah. All right, so thanks for joining us. Remember to do a tick check. Share your photos if you do this hike with us. You can comment below your thoughts. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Sarah and I will keep an eye on the comments in the videos and get back to you. And we'll see you again in September for our next hike.
Yay!
Thanks.